front of our eyes. It is the 5th place match, and more importantly, it's who will stick in the summer LCS. At the moment, it is Gambit. They're going to be starting off as the blue team with this Volley Bear. Interesting choice. The Copenhagen Wolves, they pulled out a Kassadin. They're going to be on the red side. Who knows what will happen in the next hour?
So 2 very quick things I want to throw out there. Because of the strength of the Summoner heal and the fact that so many teams are moving away from Ignite, it does mean that Volley Bear's passive is going to be a little bit more powerful. You'll see there's no Ignites on the side of Copenhagen Wolves. So he's going to get that full heal whenever the Chosen of the Storm gets procced. On the side of Vladimir, I do also want to highlight that the Will of the Ancients has also had somewhat of a buff. It is a little more expensive in this patch, but it does give you more ability power, and it doesn't give you mana regen. So it's a slightly more effective item build on Vladimir because he's not investing gold into stats that he doesn't make use of. So we'll see how quickly Youngbuck actually does go from the Hextech Revolver to a Will of the Ancients. It is slightly different in 4.5.
So Coutard playing it wisely on that Kassadin. He knows he's a pretty much melee-based champion up against Alexic with those ranged bombs. Those bombs do a lot of damage. They have been shortened, but they're still going to do as much, pack as much punch. So he's gone with the Crystalline Flask in that mid lane. We'll see how this one works. Is Diamond going to just sit and farm? Is he going to go Feral Flare? Is he going to try and build up as strong as he can? Or is he going to be looking for amazing?
Feral Flare actually synergizes quite nicely with Volley Bear's kit. Because of Volley Bear's Frenzy, his W, he needs to land a couple of auto attacks down, and every time he lands auto attacks, it's going to activate the chomp that he can do, which is percentage HP damage. Feral Flare gives you attack speed and attack damage. He's also got a very effective ultimate that basically gives him like a static Shiv proc, once again, on each auto attack for a couple of seconds. So I think we should be seeing him going towards that Wriggles and Feral Flare, but we haven't seen Volley Bear super frequently, and Diamond and Gambit are a team that do not go with the norm when it comes to itemization. So we'll give them some time to build up and see where it goes.
Gambit at the moment have started to push in this lane. We'll see how it works out. They're going to dive on Genja straight away. Quick Zenith Blade coming out, but an immediate flay from Edward forces them back. At the moment, we are seeing them. Gambit, they're the ones to start the pressure. Expect this one. Expect it in the mid lane as well. I would expect Alex to be pushing pretty heavily on Coutard in that mid to keep him at bay. There's the Death Sentence being flung out. Does not land. Level 2 was hit first by Gambit.
Yeah, a little bit optimistic. In terms of the lane setup, heal and exhaust for both Gambit and Copenhagen Wolves. And of course, as we talk about all the time, Leona will struggle up until level 3, level 4 when Unlimited has the option to engage. And until level 6, this lane should be in favor of Genja and Edward. In theory, Edward should always be able to outplay at least that Zenith Blade and interrupt Unlimited. So we'll see how effectively Genja and Edward can control this lane. It's only a very minor CS advantage for Given still farming well in a slightly disadvantageous lane.
Diamond had a peek towards the top lane, but honestly, Darian is actually dominating in terms of farm right now. You can see he's almost got double the CS of Youngbuck, keeping him very much at bay there. Amazing. Looking in towards the mid lane. Double buffs on. Alexic has got flash and exhaust, but he does not want to burn them this early.
No, I don't think so. They're going to go on an Axe, and there's a good satchel.
Yeah, very good. He's going to get pounced upon. May have to try and back away. There's the exhaust used. Had to put it back onto Amazing. Try and use some bombs on towards him as well to try and keep that damage down, but Summoner's Bow will use.
Yeah, very, very important. And, you know, we talked about this earlier in the day. Once that exhaust is down, it gives the assassin in the mid lane a little bit more freedom to look for kills once he hits level 6. I want to see how Coutard itemizes. When Alex played Kassadin yesterday, he went Iceborne Gauntlets into Warden's Mail as his second and third items. I actually think this is not too bad of an idea if Coutard wants to itemize their way, because Vlad, Kha'Zix, and Lucian should be able to clean up and should be able to have, or should have enough damage to follow that up. But I have no idea what Coutard's going to itemize. He may just want to go for the Glass Cannon Assassin that was probably going to be a bit more exciting to watch.
Well, this is a very strong start coming out from Gambit so far, dominating both top and bottom lanes. Mid lane is actually in favor of Coutard, but of course they did just have that gank on towards him. But look at the CS differential building, 37 to 20. There's only, what, 6-7 minions there? Even if they shove the lane, continue this on, we are starting to see Genja building up a huge gap over Forgiven, and this is something we don't often see.
No, you really don't. It is down to the lane matchup, though. Edward and Genja are playing this matchup very well. There's a lot of poke from Genja onto the Copenhagen Wolves duo lane, and the threat of those death sentences onto Unlimited and Forgiven are forcing them to play a little bit passively. So, well played by Gambit. They haven't capitalized with too much damage onto that tower, so we'll need to see how long it takes them to actually gain the control of the map. That's the one thing that Gambit have struggled to do in the past, is actually going for those towers.
Well, Diamond is going to be farming out those wraiths at the moment. No problem there, takes those away, and at the moment, Gambit are starting to take every single advantage away from Copenhagen Wolves. Forgiven getting hooked in there. Good death sentence straight on towards him. Unlimited going in a little bit deep on this one. Edward taking some serious damage. Exhaust was used on Forgiven, and Genja followed up and backed up his support this time around.
Yeah, nicely played. I think quite smart decision making from Unlimited to re-engage. Once he knew that the flay and the death sentence had been used, there's less tools for Edward to play with. So at the end of the day, they get the summoner spell, 2 exhaust down, and Counterhard with a very large mana pool, thanks to the change to his Netherblade and his W, is actually keeping his mana up quite high. He's already opted to go for a tier of the Goddess, so going to be stacking that one up and going to go for a little bit more ability power this time around.
Yeah, Alexic went back early, got himself the second Doran's ring, so he was starting to feel the punch a little bit, sent back home a little bit earlier than he would like, I feel. And Counterhard doing a very good job of pressing him in.
Yeah, staying aggressive. More importantly, Counterhard is staying even on CS. Oh, they've caught Unlimited.
Not sure if they're going to follow through. There's a lot of damage going down on him, though. He's taken incredibly low. Has to back away. Big wave coming in. Meanwhile, Alexic in the mid lane will go down, and that is first blood for Amazing.
Yeah, Amazing just coming in from the side. Flash as well as Leap allows him to pick up first blood. Counterhard is level 6. He's got Riftwalk available, so he knew Darren was just sitting above him. And Amazing making it clear he wanted to shut down Alexic, wanted to get in his face. Diamond, I don't think we're going to see a flash fling, but the option was there if he wanted to. Remember, he does have those frenzy nom-noms to bite on a member of the Copenhagen Wolves.
No, it's just a dancing Russian bear in that mid. He's going to get himself a couple of minion farms. So, blue buff going to be going across the Counterhard. That will be gifted by Amazing. This bottom lane pairing is doing a fantastic job, though, for Gambit. And it is a pairing that has actually been questioned many times throughout the season. You know, Gambit, this is their worst ever performance in the LCS. And honestly, the worst ever performance outside the LCS as well, because they've never once been outside that top 3.
Yeah, and I think the entire split has been difficult for Gambit. You've never really felt like they've been on the heartbeat of the patch, is the way I think I'll explain it. You see some interesting picks, interesting itemization choices, and even more in-game decisions. But at the end of the day, Gambit are, you know, they've made it to playoffs. They had a very poor showing yesterday, which I think is a testament to their play, not necessarily entirely pick and ban, etc. And this time round, they have started much better. Even though they've given up first blood, their CSing has been pretty solid. They built up small leads with both Renekton lane and the Caitlyn Thresh. I do want to start saying that I don't think it's enough. When you've got a Caitlyn Thresh, yes, they punish Forgiven. They've made them lose 16, 17 CS. They haven't pushed the tower all that hard. Darian on Renekton is even farming with Young Buck on Vlad. So he's going to go aggressive, and Amazing is going to try to set something up here. We'll see how quickly he jumps in.
Yeah, Darren has only just returned back to that lane. Went for the Vampiric Scepter. Is going to be potentially building in. There's going to be the Emo play going down on towards him. Amazing jumps in, but it's a little too far away. Went far too early on that one, and Darian burns that flash out to get away, no problem.
Yeah, there was no rank 2 on that leap, so the distance of Amazing's hop in wasn't enough. Now Limited's going aggressive. Can he catch Genja?
Going to use that shield. Zenith Blade goes on towards him, but the Flay quickly replies on towards Unlimited. Death Sentence does not land. Genja is on point though, and Forgiven was farming.
Yeah, now at level 6, Unlimited does have that solar flare, so that is what we talked about. Once Unlimited gets level 5, level 6, he has all of his tools with his Eclipse, with the Zenith Blade and his stun. If he plays his engages correctly, he can get in, get all that bonus armor from his Eclipse, and mitigate some of the damage that's being applied to him. But at this point in time, I think Edward and Genja, they're still holding on to their lead. It is still 20 CS, which is about enough gold, about as much gold as a kill. So you can't deny the fact that Gambit are doing well in that duo lane.
Youngbuck making himself stand far away from this one. Diamond is in there. They just want to keep him away from the farm right now. They're going to farm between the two top towers. They don't have jungle help because Amazing is down in this tri-bush. Unseen, I feel. No, actually pinged on towards him. I think he passed over the ward over by the red buff.
Yeah, it's actually just behind the dragon as well. So Amazing, you know, has walked past. Oh, it would have been the red buff, you're right. If they want to tower dive, they can. Because of the solar flare and the stun lock power that Leona offers, with the Kha'Zix they can always go for that. If you jump onto a Caitlyn, lock her up before she gets her Knight to Caliber net away, she is very, very squishy. At the end of the day, Amazing plays that one safely. He backs off, and both lanes, or both teams, just going back to extended farming.
Yeah, I feel that Diamond may well be heading towards that Feral Flare. He's a long way off it at the moment, though. Did get those Regals onto him first off. So, the Mad Red, sorry, not Regals. He's going towards the Regals. He's some way off it at the moment. Edward winding up. Is he going to try and throw out that death sentence? Try and create a play. Big farm advantage, as we've said, but is it enough? Is it punishing Gambit? Are they punishing this bottom lane? I mean, this is what they talked about. This is where they feared. This is what they had to focus on. Whereas Copenhagen Wolves didn't even fear this bottom lane of Gendra and Edward, which is unusual because that's a lane that was so fearful many, many moons ago, but they really haven't been at the top of their game this season.
No, they haven't. And I don't think that they have punished it enough. Gambit could be, you know, trying not to lose the early game in the hopes they can win the mid or late game. We know that Gambit have strong team fights and strong decision-making. Diamond's right on top of a ward, so the Wolves are going to be aware of this. The reason I highlight the fact that Gambit has strong mid and late game is even when they were 10k gold down against Rocket yesterday, they still had some team fights that were quite hopeful. They had some team fights that went okay, that weren't absolutely terrible. And when you're that far down in gold, it's a difficult situation to be in. So I feel maybe the thinking from Gambit could be, we go even in lane, come out with, you know, similar items, similar gold, and we can rely on our experience and our team working prowess to take down the Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, Alex is just getting damage in that mid lane from Coulthard. Has to force himself away. Coulthard going very aggressive, and once again we see Diamond having to come up here and simply run coverage. Diamond, every time he's tried to come looking for these ganks, there's been a ward there. Ward placement from Copenhagen Wolves has been very good so far.
It has, and on a champion like Volibear, it's very difficult to get into a lane without being spotted. Yes, you do have the Lantern ganks, which are obviously a possibility, but now that Youngbuck, oh, doesn't get it. Now that Youngbuck's level 9, oh, Darren may fancy this.
Yeah, puts a lot of damage down, uses the Dominus here, trying to force Youngbuck away as well. Uses the Ignite, does force the flash out. Damewell down the bottom lane, they're going to coast on towards it. Forgiven taken very low here. Edward tanking it up, there's going to be the exhaust on towards him. That's actually going to lower the Cullen quite heavily, and Edward happy to tank up the damage while Genja soaks up and puts the damage down.
Now that was an initiation from Gambit onto Copenhagen Wolves where they came out ahead. All summoner spells in terms of your aggressive ones, heal and exhaust, are both down. Flash is still remaining on the side of Gambit. I want to go back to that fight in the top lane where Darian jumped onto Amazing. He dealt a lot of damage to Amazing, which forced him back and forced him away from that gank. But now that Youngbuck's hit level 9, it's that magic point with Vladimir that we always talk about. His transfusion is at maximum point, so his sustain is very good, and he should be able to bully Darian away now. Now Vladimir's got the levels and the items he needs. Built up some armor from that Seeker's Arm Guard. We'll see how this lane plays out.
Darian continuing to put pressure back down in for Youngbuck. Should be able to just lifesteal all of that back, and that's exactly what he's doing with those big gigantic stacks of minions. No problem with that one. Coulthard in this mid lane doing a fantastic job up against Alex Hitch so far on a champion that probably shouldn't have won this lane out, but he's kept up all the way with farm on Alex Hitch with a little bit of help from Amazing.
Yeah, Cassidy has not been punished at all. And yesterday, I'm trying to remember what Alex was playing against Rocket. He was playing Kale, if I recall correctly. And also, yesterday's games, I remember thinking to myself that Alex wasn't punishing that mid lane maybe as much as he should have been. So this time round, we do see that even on CS, even numbers, both teams looking for the extended late game. We know that the Copenhagen Wolves like to push this to late. We know that they like to dance around with multiple dragons and barons. Gambit, well, they're even. They don't have a lead to push. Not a single tower's fallen. Not a tower's even remotely close to falling at this point.
Yeah, there's been no pressure on any of the lanes this game. Absolutely has late game written all over it so far. Bloodthirst has been picked up by both AD carries, and Youngblood continues to put the pressure on. One of the towers that are being pushed heavily is this top lane turret. Darian in trouble here. You're going to see Youngblood coming in. Emo plate goes down. Amazing comes in. It's going to be the second kill down, and the pull is used. Youngblood gets away from that tower, no problem at all.
Yeah, Sanguine Pool just dropped the tower aggro, thanks to the tower being now down to about, what, 10% HP at 15 minutes. If Amazing and Young Bucks stick around, they can take that tower down. I'm not even sure if they want to. As it stands, Copenhagen Wolves got 2 kills to their name. The only lane that's behind in CS is their AD carry Forgiven, who likes to pick up the side lane farm in the mid-game phase anyway. So, you know, there's options from them. They can drag this out a little further. Young Buck is going to push the wave down with that cannon minion. And Copenhagen Wolves with a 2,000 gold lead in 15 minutes. They're clawing themselves a small lead right now.
Well, with Youngblood in that top lane, no teleport available. Gambit are looking to try and start the dragon off here. There is a ward on it though from the Copenhagen Wolves. Amazing is nearby, doesn't have smite just yet, but it should be up available if they were to contest.
So the problem for Gambit now that they're falling behind, the tools that they have to dissipate this lead is going to be in sieging. I don't think Gambit's champions are going to be particularly great at finding picks because you're going to be relying on a death sentence. That's actually very good play by Kautar, getting a lot of poke down. He's got the makings of a death cap as well. Now the reason I highlight the siege from Gambit, Caitlyn and Ziggs in a siege position is very, very good, and you can counter-engage with a Thresh very effectively. Because Gambit have not pushed towers down very quickly, in the open field, you're entirely relying on Copenhagen Wolves being out of position and caught by Volibear, or on Edward landing a death sentence.
Diamond on Volibear has yet to get a gank off, and that's because every time he comes in there, there's a ward, either in the bot lane, in the top lane, in the mid lane. He's always being spotted out by the Copenhagen Wolves. Their ward control has been very good, and they're fully aware of where he's going to come from. We're going to see Diamond getting face checked here by Kautar. Actually, Rip walks over the top of him because they're going for Genja down the bottom there. We're going to see Amazing try and close the gap on towards it. Edward taking very low. Ace in the hole comes out, but quickly gets stopped off by Amazing. Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't hit anyone, and Copenhagen Wolves back away, no problem.
So Diamond actually saved Genja's life because of the Rift Walk over his head. When he flung Kautar back with his Rolling Thunder, it meant Genja got the time he needed to get to the tower. Now Gambit have started Dragon off. There is vision for the Wolves. It looks like they want to contest. Amazing does have Smite if he wants to steal.
It's a 5v4, and they're going to have to try and bully this one out. If Copenhagen Wolves can get in and steal it away, it would be a great victory for them. Zenith Blade comes out. Now they're going to turn the aggression down in there. Darian goes in. There's the rubber ducky on towards Unlimited. The stun comes down, but look at Gambit. They're all taken so low. Darian goes down. Edward goes down. They're chasing on towards Alex Inch. Hemo Plague's been popped out. Alex is taken very low. The Hemo Plague pops off. It's not quite enough, and it's a double kill for Kassadin. Kautar is running amok here. He does manage to get another one down. He was so low on health, and yet just got healed off there. Genja now, he's all on his own on this bottom turret. The wave is coming in.
They could dive him. Amazing is waiting, biding his time. Now, even though Copenhagen Wolves did not get the dragon, they got themselves 3 kills, and they're going to get this tower as well. I think very patient play from the Copenhagen Wolves. They didn't initiate until the teleport from Young Buck had come in. The moment they did, Gambit just stayed so tightly clumped that the force pulse from Kassadin slowed them all down. There was a good amount of poke from all of the members of Wolves, and Gambit are now 3,500 gold down. This feels like yesterday. This feels like the decision-making from Gambit is just not as crisp as we're used to seeing.
Very lethargic, and despite the fact they actually did very well in lane phase, now we're starting to transition out of it. The Copenhagen Wolves are completely on the ball, and Gambit are just slow to react, and a 2-0-2 Kassadin. This is a rework Kassadin, but let's not discount what he's got. His Seraphs in place is almost built up. We're only at the 18.5-minute mark. He's got about 100 to go to stack out on it, and that needlessly large rod is already in there, along with the Source Boots. He's going to be deadly.
Now I want to just expand on why that fight went well for Copenhagen Wolves. Because they've got all the mobility, that they can jump in and out of fights with 4 of their champions. And because Gambit need to run at you, they need Renekton and Volibear to be a front line, and they need Ziggs and Caitlyn to be safe on the back line. The moment Gambit turn to retreat, their composition instantly loses all of its threat, all of its power. On the back foot running away, the mobility of Copenhagen Wolves plays into their favor and allows them to pick and choose the target that they want. And as long as the Wolves are on the same page as far as communication is concerned, they will get that target, as was seen in that Dragon fight.
Youngbuck going to get picked out here. They're going to be around the side. Diamond actually finally finding him in there. We got Alexic nearby. He's going to try and Sanguine pull away from this one. He's going to get flipped straight back into Gambit. This could be their first kill. Hemoplague went down, but Gambit finally get on the board with a kill.
Yeah, positional error there from Youngbuck. He didn't have the vision to really be pushing past that point in the map. So good play by Diamond and Darien to run him down, stick to him as best as they could. But again, I think Copenhagen Wolves, small lapse in judgment there as far as the vision was concerned. We've seen Forgiven hard pushing that bottom lane. That 20 CS difference from the laning phase has still stuck. 192 in a moment to 172. But Bloodthirster and Sheen versus Bloodthirster and Zeal, it hasn't actually equated to an item difference yet.
Yeah, and now that, of course, he's got those 3 assists on him, that will counter that goal very much indeed. Top lane, Youngbuck, he fell behind Darien. He was about 20 CS behind as well. But he is now charging ahead and starting to cause serious problems. And you can just look at his items. He's completely itemized. Darien really can't do a great deal against him.
Now, this is something that we talk about whenever you see these top laners that do get into a very good position. Who on the side of Gambit is going to deal with Youngbuck? Other than Ziggs wave clearing and preventing the minion wave getting to the tower, I don't see anybody else from Gambit really trying to deal with Youngbuck, and I'm not sure they want Alex there because they want him with the rest of the team. This is a 2-on-2. Alex, Amazing has found Diamond.
Diamond face checking in towards it. Darien now coming back around. It's actually a split in which target they're going to go for. Youngbuck seems to be the focus. Remember that Dominus has been running for a while, and I think Copenhagen Wolves are going to try and turn this one. Kassadin's coming up river. They've got to be careful. Amazing's going to get focused on. He gets popped in there. Sanguine Pull comes out from Amazing. Meanwhile, Counter caught out there. Alex Ich gets hooked in by that death sentence of Edward. Manages to catch in. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in, and Alex Ich lands the kill, and suddenly there's 2 kills and a tower transferred back to Gambit.
Now that was a very good play from Gambit. I actually got panicky for Diamond because as the play progressed, Diamond was just standing around. He ran away from Amazing, he ran towards Youngbuck. He didn't get involved until Darien got onto Amazing. Then the moment Darien started applying damage to Kha'Zix, all of a sudden Diamond and Darien melted through him. That frenzy chomp really dealt the deal and he burst Amazing out. Countered, maybe overemphasizing the power of Riftwalk, he gets caught out. Edward lands a clutch death sentence, and it gives Gambit some signs of life. The Goldie's been mitigated, they've got a tower, and they've got kills.
They're back in the game, so lane phase may well have not gone the way of Gambit. They seem to be transitioning, and this is always the period where the Copenhagen Wolves start to flounder. 20 to 30 minutes. It used to be the 15 to 25 minute mark, but I think the game's stretched out a little bit now. It tends to be the 20 to 30 minutes mark. They seem to just lose track of what to do. The moment a couple of towers go down, they move into that mid game. They just seem to really have a clear goal.
Yeah, but the difficulty for the Copenhagen Wolves is their champions do not do well under a siege. They've got very short-range champions. If they want to sit under a tower, they're just going to get poked out by Caitlyn and by Ziggs. So the Wolves don't really want to group up and force Gambit to sit under a tower. Copenhagen Wolves want to play a bit of a split push game. They want to push the side lanes out and force Gambit to rotate. Then while Gambit are rotating, then jump on them. Use the mobility and the pick power of Kassadin, Kha'Zix, and the damage amplification of that Hemoplague from Vladimir. That's the way that they can create opportunities. If Copenhagen Wolves don't get picks and don't get kills, I don't see them taking towers very convincing.
I know we've discussed this many times before about Genji's builds, but he's now gone into another BF sword after the Zeal and Bloodthirster, so I'm not too sure where exactly he's going to be going with that one. Just feels he needs a bit more damage in there, who knows. Dragon is up now, and meanwhile Darien going aggressive on Youngbuck in his top lane, pops the Dominus. Youngbuck is in all sorts of trouble here, has to use his Hemoplague down. Sanguine Pull is available. Darien's just going to continue chomping on through, uses the flash, gets the stun down. Sanguine Pull is used by Youngbuck. It may just be enough to get away from him in this one. Very close. Meanwhile, Mega Inferno Bomb already landed. Unlimited goes down. Amazing tries to jump in, gets quickly exhausted out. Genji taken very low, but he backs out of the fight there. And well, the Dragon's still alive, still wondering what is going on, but Gambit are going to start it off.
Yeah, the rest of Copenhagen Wolves are toying with the idea of re-engaging. This would be a lot more difficult for them. They don't have the health bars to work with. The Darien versus Youngbuck 1v1 was great. Darien just completely outplayed Youngbuck. Youngbuck was forced to just blow everything he could to survive the Sanguine Pool just for the lifesteal. So Gambit grabbed themselves a dragon. They're also going to get themselves another tower, and now the gold is in their favor. Gambit haven't stopped the siege. And if they keep Copenhagen Wolves defending against a siege, they're going to do very well. There is no safe wave clear from... They've caught Counter!
Death sentence and a flay. Well, the moment he tried to rift walk out, he was just flayed where he stood. Tower goes down. Gambit are in complete control suddenly. Youngbuck comes around, and well, he suddenly realizes he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Brilliant's pot was used, but it's going to be no use right now.
If Gambit, as we said, siege up, Copenhagen Wolves have got no safe wave clear. So all of a sudden, they're on the back foot. That's the second time that Countard, I think, has maybe overestimated the power of his Riftwalk. He was playing a little bit too close to the Gambit squad, and Edward landed a clutch death sentence when it counted. It's now giving Gambit the tower lead, a okay gold lead, and I'd like to just see them siege. I'd love to see Gambit just group up now and force down this bottom outer turret, push the wave all the way up to the mid inner turret, and force Copenhagen Wolves to engage. If you force him to engage out of sorts and out of line, then all of a sudden Gambit's comp is quite good because they're sitting there, they're forcing you to jump onto them.
Darian is causing problems. He's keeping Youngbuck very much out of the game right now in that top lane. AD carry as well. Genja continues to power ahead in terms of farm over Forgiven, something we haven't seen Forgiven do in a long time. He generally is the man, the monster in terms of CS. Edward throws out the lantern, pulls Alexic back in that mid lane to keep his farm ahead of Countard. In terms of gold, you can see it. It's turned from a 2,000 to 3,000 gold advantage for the Copenhagen Wolves to a 3k advantage for Gambit. This game, in the last 5 minutes, has very much gone in their favor.
Yeah, every single time Gambit have looked towards an objective, they've found a member of Copenhagen Wolves, whether it's out of position or just landed the crowd control they needed to get the kills. I quite like that little play in the mid lane. Edward was using all of the charges from his face of the mountain and the Targon's Brace rather, and Alex was just waiting. He didn't farm, he let the gold get shared, get as much advantage from that as possible. Touching on item builds, Negatron Cloak has been picked up by Genja, so he's going to go for some defense, and when it's a double AP comp, I think that's the right choice.
Darian, got to be careful here. Kautar's waiting in the wings to try and create some pressure here, waiting for Darian to get taken down low by Youngbuck there. Now they ping it out, they spot the difference. Genja's in there in support though. So now they have a carry. Mega Inferno Bomb always available from Alexic, remember, from very long range. They're going to go aggressive. They're diving on towards Youngbuck, forcing out the Hemo Plague, the Sanguine Pool already there. And Youngbuck gets the hell out of dodge.
Yeah, we've seen that Diamond has had that Feral Flare for a little while. He's got 13 stacks already built up, so it's about 140 bonus damage. This is another situation where Volibear could, with the help of maybe Genja or Darian, go for some sort of Baron. It's a play that we've seen a few times this weekend, and if Gambit get map control and they're unable to get past a line of towers, it gives Gambit another tool to force Copenhagen Wolves to react to them. Genja's a little bit alone, but he's alive. Darian's right there below him. Playing very confidently, trying to pull Youngbuck towards him. Yeah,
putting a lot of damage down on towards him there as well. He's got a lot of damage in items. We'll see where he goes. Is he going to go to Mercurial Scepter here? I'm wondering that. That'd be an interesting build this early on. Remember, there is a double AP diving in towards him, so it's a possibility, but it would be a very early item for that. I think he's simply got it for magic resist.
Yeah, I think so too. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of a, maybe a Banshee's Countard. He's been caught!
Oh, what a death sentence! Remember, the Baron was doing damage on him there, giving assistance, and Gambit just say, you know what? Let's take the damn Baron while we're here.
Yeah, the rest of Copenhagen Wolves are trying to respond. Darian does not have teleport. Youngbuck doesn't either. It is on cooldown. This is a 3-man Gambit. They're going to need to peel away.
They've got to back out of that. They didn't have the damage on towards it, and you saw Diamond tanking out far too many stacks. Genja going aggressive. This is something you don't often see. Ace in a hole on Amazing, but taking a chunk of damage off him. But Gambit, they're continuing to push here.
I'm going to say it again. Countard is disrespecting Gambit's crowd control and overestimating the power of his Riftwalk. He used the Riftwalk, he couldn't get over a wall and just got caught. Now Darian is looking for some fun with Youngbuck.
Causing problems, he's already used the Blade of the Rune King on towards him. That's keeping the slow down. Youngbuck should be able to escape this one. Mega Inferno Bomb is available, but Alexic is a little bit out of range right now. But Darian, he is not afraid of Youngbuck.
No, he's not, and Youngbuck doesn't have the damage to deal with him. I actually felt that if Vlad had got some time to poke Darian down, it would have given him troubles. But because of the Blade of the Rune King and the Kuldamik sustain, Darian is never poked down long enough for the sustain of Vladimir to keep the poke on Darian down. So I think Darian's playing very, very well in that lane. Even though he is 20 CS down, every time we've seen him go 1v1 against Youngbuck, it's Youngbuck that's needed to back off. I wonder if a Zhonya's Hourglass might turn the tide in Youngbuck's favor as he gets some more ability power and will then be doing more damage, but time will tell.
Wondering whether Genja was about to make his way down. He's not. He's back to wait. He's going to stick around that mid lane and keep the farm going alongside Alex Ich. As it stands, Darian happy to solo up with Youngbuck. Youngbuck trying to keep that solo farm. Remember, Youngbuck has teleport if anything were to develop up here in this 4v4 scenario. Darian does not, so he would be left all on his own at the moment. Both the teams are actually positioning themselves. There is a stun, of course, from Darian. Dominus being used it, going aggressive on Youngbuck. He's going to try and pull away from this one. Slice and Dice will be back up for Darian any second now, so Youngbuck can't stick around.
Yeah, Darian didn't have his Blade of the Ruin King active, even though Flash and Ignite was, he decided not to use it. And we do see that Diamond is forced away, Culling being used to push the wave down, and Copenhagen Wolves trying to set themselves in a tower siege position, but their comp just doesn't lend itself to that. The wave clear from Alex Ich is great. They've caught Youngbuck.
Flash stun on towards Youngbuck. Has he got enough to finish him off? Hemo Plague and Sanguine Pull once again trying to get away from there. Diamond taken very low. Solar Flare comes out and he catches Edward out. Edward going to get taken very low. The flip comes down there. Unlimited gets dropped. Edward goes down as well. Diamond's going to get caught out. Amazing leaps in and leaps out as he gets himself the kill. It is a 2-for-1 this time to the Copenhagen Wolves, but Darian, he's taking the bottom turret.
Yeah, so net gain gold in favor of Gambit, but a similar situation. Gambit were running at the Copenhagen Wolves. While they were chasing them down, just took too much damage getting into the river. So as the Copenhagen Wolves re-engaged when Gambit were retreating, that's when Copenhagen Wolves were picking off the targets. They got Diamond, they got Edward. Crucially, Alex didn't have his ultimates, and I think Darian's going to be okay for now. There's no real CC, so Darian was, even though he didn't have his flash, he wasn't locked in place long enough.
Well, the Dragon is going to get started out by Gambit. Alex Ich is actually tanking up the Dragon. Not really something you'd often should be seeing from a Ziggs. Darian moves in, takes the front-loaded damage. Alex is going to pounce away from that one. Darian just slide on through. So, Dragon control, 3 out of 3 for Gambit so far, which gives them that 5,000 goal edge over the Copenhagen Wolves. What are we starting to see? Let's take a look at some of the items coming out here. As the mid lane as well, they're all hitting their big power spikes. We're starting to see 2-3 major items on every champion.
And we're seeing an aggressive build from Darian. He's got a pickaxe now after his Spectre's Cowl and his Randians. He's already had that Blade of the Ruin King finish. Void Staff's completed for Youngbuck as well as Alex Ich. And I'm expecting Countard to get his finished fairly shortly. He's got the Blasting Command and the Amplifying Tome already. I think Copenhagen Wolves need to try and force Gambit's hand with better vision. We've been seeing Youngbuck play the split push game, but Darian is dealing with him quite handily. Darian is really getting his face and making Youngbuck's life more miserable, making it very difficult for him. So Youngbuck hasn't had the impact on this Vladimir that maybe the Copenhagen Wolves were hoping for. Gambit going to start themselves off another Baron. There is a teleport from Youngbuck, so the tightly grouped Gambit are trying to rush it down, and if Copenhagen Wolves respond too late, or they go in drips and drabs, Gambit may be able to just focus them down.
Culling going down, Solar Flare being used, Mega Inferno Bomb not really catching on anyone, Ace in the hole going through, that landed on one. Youngbuck comes in, Hemo Play catching 5 members, and that's going to turn the damage, but look at Genja just roasting straight down on one, takes a second one down, he's going to finally back away. We do see Cassidy on Countard picking up 1, but it's only Diamond. Darian has gone down as well. This is a very even battle, and Copenhagen Wolves may be able to continue push it.
2 for 2, but because Alex is up, I think he should have the wave clear to defend this tower. The Mega Inferno Bomb didn't do anywhere near the damage they were looking for. It hit half a member of Copenhagen Wolves, and because of that, it allowed the Copenhagen Wolves to just re-engage. A little bit of a sloppy fight. The Solar Flare was off target as well, so neither team really hitting everything that they needed to. But at the end of the day, 2 for 2, Baron was interrupted, and the Copenhagen Wolves pull Gambit away. So even trade, and when you consider the Wolves are behind, maybe they'll be happy with it. But again, both teams had small mistakes there.
Big wave in that top lane, that needs to be dealt with. We're going to see, I think it's going to be probably Genja that will go across to deal with it. That actually does leave the mid lane exposed briefly, but the Copenhagen Wolves are not really in a position to shove in there. They have no minions unless they want to try and phase tank it, and Diamond is going to respond to that one. Genja goes across, gets himself a chunk of farm, keeping very much in the lead in terms of the AD carries. Diamond getting spotted out by a ward there. We do see the Zenith Blade going in, but quickly flips Unlimited straight back out.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by this Volibear so far. He is a tanky frontline. I haven't seen flips that have really blown me away. And yes, he's had one good execution, but I wonder if a Zinzao wouldn't have been better. Get the disruption, allow Gambit to lock targets down. as it stands 5 versus 5 in this river towards the mid lane. Copenhagen Wolves, as we've said, are looking to isolate somebody from Gambit and use their mobility to immediately blow them up. If they can, it'll open up a tower or a Baron, but Death Sentence doesn't connect. So in open grounds, again, Gambit, they either run at you or they land a Death Sentence. There's very little else that they can offer.
Yeah, without a Death Sentence going in there, they have to have those two big, bulky frontliners getting in amongst the Copenhagen Wolves. And so far, they're happy to go toe-to-toe. Diamond has actually headed off to the side, just checking out whether that Blue Wolf there is going to see Youngbuck coming around towards him, which is why he's going to back away from this one. The rest of Gambit, they're pushing up that mid lane. They've actually drawn the attention of Coutard away from this mid. He's Rift walking down towards the bottom while the rest of Gambit push them in.
I'd like to see Gambit continue this pressure. They know that Coutard's not there. It'll take him some time to respond. There's no inner turret to push onto, but Gambit's comp does so well in a siege position. So play some wards in Copenhagen Wolf jungle now that you've got the freedom, and then get onto one of those inner turrets. There's one in the top lane, there's one in the bottom lane. Gambit may be afraid of the engage power of Copenhagen Wolves if they stay grouped up, but they're just going to try and play a bait game. Gambit is split up here. This could go wrong if Copenhagen Wolves jump at the right time.
They're going to flip in. It's going to be Young, but they go for it. He can just sanguine pull away. Diamond's taking the brunt of the damage. Edward tanked it up. Now Youngbuck's in trouble. He gets away from this one. Mega Inferno Bomb does not hit anyone once again. Amazing stealths up and runs away. And Coutard can just rift walk away. And Gambit can't catch the Wolves.
No, they don't have enough hard CC, and the Copenhagen Wolves are able to run away. Very importantly, though, Copenhagen Wolves almost got those picks, and Gambit responded well. Because Gambit didn't go in full retreat mode and give Wolves the opportunity to place targets, Gambit went aggressive, jumped in the Wolves' face. They've started Baron again. It is being chunked down. Oh, Unlimited's in trouble.
Oh, Unlimited takes a lot of damage, but flashes out just at the right time from that satchel charge, and again, they disengage. They're sticking on the Baron, actually. Genja keeping this one going. It's going to keep on dropping that health. You can see it's down to half health now. The Copenhagen Wolves, they're going to have to move in here. They're going to have to force Amazing to try and make a play.
Yeah, there's not a lot of ultimates available for the Wolves, and with the Death Sentence not landing, Amazing's got a lot of HP. There's Darian on the sidelines.
Darian's trying to make all sorts of plays, and the Gambit have once again peeled off of the Baron. They are split off at the moment. Ace in the hole back up, lands onto Coutard, and they keep the pressure going. They have no vision control anymore of the Death Push.
No, they don't. In the top lane, there are minions pushing the turret. The Copenhagen Wolves are able to actually secure a tower thanks to their own minions, and Gambit have been forced back. Genja is so low. Amazing's going to look for a reset.
Yeah, that was the mid lane turret that went down there. Amazing jumps in onto Genja, but he quickly flashes away, uses the Death Sentence to pull Amazing back in towards him, but now he's in trouble. He flashes away. A Solar Flare lands. He goes down at last. Copenhagen Wolves going to try and gather on towards this one. Darian actually going 5-on-1. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in, but Darian goes down as well. The bombs are rattling through, but there's just no follow-up from Gambit.
Gambit are flailing as they tried to evacuate the pit. They stuck around too long. They took too much damage from the Copenhagen Wolves, and the chasing power of the Wolves is very good. They ran down 2 members of Gambit. It does look like Alex is going to secure his own blue buff, but it's opened up the Baron now for the Wolves. Mega Inferno Bomb is not available. We'll need to see how quickly Gambit respond. Youngbuck's teleporting to run interference.
Teleporting straight on top of 3 members of Gambit. It may well be interference enough, though, because that Baron is going down. There's the kill for them, but look at that. It's going to be the Copenhagen Wolves taking the Baron. Gambit come rushing in there, but they are too late. And the Copenhagen Wolves hit and run.
Yeah, that was definitely worth it on the side of Gambit. And I need to reiterate that this Volley Bear offered very little in that pit. The flings are not keeping people in place long enough for Gambit to take them out. And if there was more CC, say, Xin Zhao knock up and knock away, you know, that could have been so different. So Gambit, they lose Baron, they lose another kill, or they gain a kill rather. 10-11, small lead for Gambit Gold, but the buff puts Copenhagen Wolves in effective gold lead.
I would love to hear the reasoning from Diamond. I know he does a lot of interviews afterwards for the Gambit website, and I'd love to hear his reasoning for going with the Volley Bear over the Xin Zhao when Xin Zhao was clearly available. I feel that one would have pounded in there. Anyway, it's a Dragon for Gambit, and that's going to be secured. That's going to keep them a 2,000 gold advantage, but remember, they're up against 4 members of the Copenhagen Wolves that now have the Baron.
This is the part of the game where the Copenhagen Wolves need to take advantage of Baron buff. Because they do have the ability to, you know, jump on Genji and blow him up, jump on Alex and blow him up. Even though he's got a Banshee's Veil, you can pop that fairly efficiently, maybe. We'll see how Coutard deals with it. But Copenhagen Wolves need to find those picks. If they don't find those picks, it's going to be very difficult to get past the wave clear of both Caitlyn and Ziggs.
So we see the scrying orb coming out here from Youngbuck. And remember, this has had a number of changes in 4.5. It's now lasts for 2 seconds instead of 1. And the range has increased considerably on the 3 different stages.
Yeah, by a full 1,000 units at all levels of the game. So because we are past level 9, it is a 3,500 unit range, which is a very, very long distance. What I like about the pickup is it gives Youngbuck the ability to spot an area and face check safely. So if they want to go into a Baron pit, or if they want to invade a buff, like Copenhagen Wolves are doing now, you're going to have that additional tool to reveal the area and make the right decision. It is on cooldown now, so it's not available, but Copenhagen Wolves, they appear to be using this Baron buff a little more aggressively by pushing down these waves.
It is going to be Gambit in the defense right now. No doubt about that one. Youngbuck, he's been off on his own for the majority of this one. He started to build up a pretty heavy lead over Darren. Interested to see how the 1v1 would go now between these two champions. At the moment, though, it's Genja that's being sent across there, who has got the Guardian Angel complete now, along with that Infinity Edge. That's
going to be very, very useful against the high damage of Kassadin and Kha'Zix. Vladimir not doing the most amount of damage. Oh, they've got Diamond.
Wow, had to take the Lantern there from Edward Diamond, taking the full burst of the Culling with that Baron buff on him. So Forgiven laying down a lot of damage. The rest of Gambit do rotate round, but look at Genja. Takes a couple of blasts from Forgiven, takes him very low quickly.
There's no armor penetration from Genja. That's quite amazing.
The hook goes in on Amazing, quickly flays him, wasn't able to pounce away from that one, and the 90 caliber net landing on Unlimited as well slows him down. He manages to take another pill to a Peacemaker, but again, Copenhagen Wolves can disengage without any issue from Gambit.
Copenhagen Wolves couldn't stay there. They could not stay. Unless they wanted to tower dive with absolutely everybody, they couldn't stick around in that scenario. Alex is doing a very good job at extending the length of this game by defending the turrets. Now, Copenhagen Wolves have rotated significantly quicker than Gambit have, and even though they don't have their AD carrier yet, this tower is going to drop.
Well, Mega Inferno Bomb was thrown down the bottom here, but he did not clear out the wave very well. I'm just going to take a look back at it myself. He took out a fairly big chunk of it, but pretty much missed.
Yeah, if the Mega Inferno Bomb isn't killing the entire wave, then obviously...
No, he did hit a lot. I'm going to let him off.
Fair enough, fair enough. The point, I think, now is that Copenhagen Wolves are just continuing the split push. They are continuing, leaving Youngbuck on this island. He now has his teleport available. The Baron buff has, in fact, worn out. So Copenhagen Wolves managed to get themselves a single tower from the Baron buff. And it's really just a matter of who can control these waves, because if the Copenhagen Wolves are 100% in control of the minion waves, they're not going to get past that tower line. They don't have enough wards down in the jungle, I feel, but there are a number of sweeping lenses on the side of Gambit.
Oh, Counter got to be careful. Uses that Rift Walk to escape once again, but Gambit are really looking to try and make a play here. They're not that fearful of that Baron buff that was on them earlier on, and now that it's worn off, they are almost certainly looking for a fight. It may well be happening in the jungle just off the screen there. You can see them all getting edgy around this. They have good ward control, Gambit, in their own jungle.
Gambit haven't stacked up yet to make a Solar Flare super opportunistic, so because they were spread out a little bit more, it allowed Copenhagen Wolves, or it made Copenhagen Wolves hesitate. We did see the Scrying Orb there used by Youngbuck just to give them the information that the blue buff was secured. Amazing does not have the timer on that Dragon. So a minute 46 for Baron, a minute 40 for Dragon. And the Copenhagen Wolves have not made the greatest use of Leona. They have this power to engage. They have this ability to pick fights. They have tower mitigation champions with both Kha'Zix, who can leap away, Sanguine Pool from Vladimir, and Kassadin, who can rift walk in and out. And they haven't made aggressive plays yet. They have been responding to the aggression of Gambit, which I guess is fair because Gambit have been in the lead for a little bit longer. But at some point, you also have to make plays to actually win the game yourself.
Yes, it would be required to actually get some victory here. So, a minute away, that's when the action will be heating up, because the Dragon and Baron, as you said, will be spawning. Ward control is going to be trying to gain by Copenhagen Wolves. As you mentioned, that Scrying Orb was used, so it's not going to be available for a long period of time, but it will give them a big advantage if they lose the vision around Baron.
I would like to see some more armor penetration on Genja's Caitlyn. We're at 45 minutes into the game. We have no Last Whisper secured. if you look at all of the armor on the side of the Wolves, you've got an Hourglass on Youngbuck, you've got a Sunfire Cape on Amazing, an Hourglass on Coutard. There's a lot of armor to burn through if you are playing Caitlyn. It's going to increase all of your damage, especially on Caitlyn, who is so auto-attack reliant. So I'm hoping he's saving money, going to sell that Dawn's Blade for that item and not a Zephyr. But we'll need to see what he picks up in the next few minutes. He's sitting at about 1800 gold right now.
Yeah, it's about 2k. He's building up towards. There you go, 2,000 gold. So we'll see what he heads towards, even when he sells that one off. Youngbuck, he's been off solo farming once again. This time pushing down that bottom wave, and he can't be left alone because there is an inhibitor turret that he's pushing towards. With the Baron spawning now, he is all alone, and remember, nobody has teleport on Gambit.
So if Gambit decide to go for that same prolonged Baron pit and allow themselves to take some poke and some damage from Copenhagen Wolves, when they start to run away, we could see the same thing. There's a teleport from Youngbuck. Gambit appeal!
They're going to peel on, and Limited Solar Flare's in there, but he gets taken down. Youngbuck comes in. Sanguine Pull, he's going to come straight out of that one and go down instantaneously. He will drop. Darien taking low at the back. It's a double for Alex Itch, and look at that. Eddie flying in towards Amazing. Coutard taking low. Cullen being used. He's trying to catch on towards Alex. Alex taking low. Genja's Guardian Angel spots. He's going to come back in there. Coutard's going to pounce straight on towards him with the Force Pulse and Rip Walk. Darien taking low. Exhaust comes in. Amazing pounces on him. Gets a double kill for Coutard. And just like that, the Copenhagen Wolves bully them off the Baron.
Yeah, 2 for 3 at the end of the day, and this is going to allow Copenhagen Wolves to get the Baron secured. The front line of Gambit held up for a moment or two, but it wasn't enough. And because Forgiven went basically untouched throughout most of that fight, it allowed him to melt through the lower HP bars of Gambit. Coutard cleans up at the end by using that Rip Fork and picking up a kill onto Genja. And you just have to feel that the kiting and the in and out power of those mobile champions on the Copenhagen Wolves is a very big reason. This is the fight. They catch Unlimited, which is great. This is Gambit starting the fight. But once Youngbuck goes low, the team is sort of focused him. You see Gambit like scrolling around Youngbuck. His Sanguine Pool buys time, and the moment he pops back out, you're going to see Gambit turn towards him to kill him. Forgiven has just taken his first poke of damage, which is good, but it's not enough. That whole front line, Darren and Diamond, are forced away, and they're just simply... there's nothing stopping the squishies of Gambit being squashed by the squishies of Copenhagen Wolves. And look at the damage onto Alex. That's from a Castellan burst and from the Culling.
As soon as he comes out, that Zonius just goes straight in and cleans up. So, a little unfortunate for Youngbuck as well, because he teleported in straight on top of a Mega Inferno Bomb. Never really what you want there. Darien going down with that double kill. All very simple stuff. So, once again, Baron is on the Copenhagen Wolves. They also picked up on the Dragon off the back of that one. The first Dragon of the game for the Copenhagen Wolves. And that has switched the gold lead into their favor now by around about 4,000 gold. It's been back and forward for a while. We were expecting this game to go long, but it's now teetering on the edge. The next big fight, I feel, could well be a game changer. We could see an inhibitor going down.
The problem is, neither of these teams have had convincing team fights.
Yeah.
You know, neither of these teams have really come out and said, well, I clearly was victorious in that situation. Death Sentence once again doesn't connect. We did see Genja picking up that last Whisper, which I'm very happy to see. It is the standard itemization, I think, is the way we'll say it. But because Copenhagen Wolves have got more damage from their carries, from, you know, Youngbuck on Vlad, from Kha'Zix, etc., they're getting through the Renekton and the Volibear. And once they've gotten through Renekton and Volibear, every time Gambit have started retreating, that's when the Copenhagen Wolves have managed to pick up the wins, have managed to pick up those Team 5 victories. So let's see if they can work it out. Now, Copenhagen Wolves have got the hardest job of getting towers down from an Alex Sitch on Ziggs. They've secured the first one.
Yeah, they can tank them down, that's the thing. They're strong enough that they can just walk in and take a couple of those tower hits. Unless Gambit are fully committed, they do actually lack a fair chunk of damage. Really, it's only Alex and Genja that are pointing out there. You're not going to get a great deal coming out from Volibear. Volibear trying to flip out Youngbuck there, but quickly Sanguine pulls away. The Culling being used. Genja taking a big chunk of that one. He's going to have to go back to the fountain, or he's going to try and lifesteal his way back into this one. There's going to be a hook on Amazing. He gets quickly pulled straight back in. He does get taken down on that Guardian Angel. Diamond tries to get back around him. He wants to flip him straight out there. Mega Inferno Bomb came a little too early, but Amazing does go down. There's going to be another Death Sentence flung out. But the Wolves, they have to back away.
That is the problem. Because of that wave clear and the power of Death Sentence in that situation, when you are defending a siege and it's easier to line up, Amazing gets hooked. he gets dropped, and all of a sudden, Copenhagen Wolves are unable to take advantage of that Baron buff. Gambit are going to be able to stall this one out. They bought themselves another 45 seconds. It's going to burn through a big chunk of this Baron buff. Actually, all of the Baron buff by the looks of things, and that's a very good position for them to be in.
Yeah, and that Baron buff, like I say, won't last too long. Another 20, 30 seconds on that one. clg getting himself another chunk of farm, but speaking of farm, Alex Itchy's approaching the 500 CS mark right now on that Ziggs, and he's hit full damage, man. Had that Lich Bane a while ago, had the Banshee's Veil picked up there. Everybody's also starting to stack out the Guardian Angels. We already saw it on Genja. That one got reset. We saw Amazing's getting reset, but we've also got one in clg, Diamond, everybody moving back in towards it. We're going to have some really elongated fights soon.
So Darien has had this Sightstone for a little while now. He has been placing some of those wards down. Gambit's composition was so good at sieging, and we've never really seen them siege. Now, of course, you can't discount the fact that Copenhagen Wolves can initiate on them. You know, if they group up at a tower and they do get caught by a sanguine, by a hemoplague, or get caught by solar flare, yes, that can be a terrible situation to be in. But Gambit have never really made any sort of aggressive map push. That top and bottom inner turret have been standing for 25 odd minutes, and Gambit hasn't gotten near them, hasn't made it past there. Gambit seems to be trying to force players around the Baron pit and making Copenhagen Wolves come to them. If the Wolves can read that and interject or predict it, they can jump on Diamond.
Diamond out of position and in trouble. He does manage to get away. Remember, he gets that regen. Edward taking low. Hemoplague will be enough to take him down. Diamond comes back in towards him. They're going to get on towards Unlimited. clg's going to be the next focus, but he just turns back on towards Alexich. Puts so much damage down. The exhaust has to be used out there. Unlimited's been picked off. The Young Buck takes down Genja. That's the AD carry down. And now Diamond. Alex is the only man putting damage down. Darien tries to run through that satchel charge. Diamond's going to go down. Forgiven takes him down. And just like that, Gambit drop all across the map. Alex Itch is going to be the final man. Zonya's Hourglass, Guardian Angel will come up here. Alex Itch has to try and take him down. Too early, one more hit. No, Zonya's Hourglass is there. It's the ace for the Copenhagen Wolves.
That was a convincing team fight. Now, Copenhagen Wolves are trying to juggle the tower aggro, but they just don't have the HP pools to make this one work. There's a minion wave, Conga lining down behind them. This should be an inhibitor, maybe the game. They've got so much damage and so much time to work with. Forgiven just melts that minion wave.
He's had the cooling available. He's come back up off cooldown. That's how long that fight lasted. 4 members of the Copenhagen Wolves are going to run on through. It's a 10-second death timer on Edward. He's not going to be able to do a lot to stop this one because the Nexus turrets are falling fast. And game number 1 goes to the Copenhagen Wolves. They are 1 match away from sending Gambit to the relegation zone. I cannot believe this.